Hello everybody and welcome to this series, which I'm very excited about because the topic is calculation. Now, Mark, how are we going to approach calculation?
Well, first a few general words. First thing which we should understand that calculation is absolutely practical thing. It's not some deep theory or some fine deep ideas. It's just practical thing. So to improve this skill, we should solve many exercises. We should practice. First elementary reasoning. Second, calculation, of course, it's a very complex thing. It consists on various skills, not single skill, like many other, by the way, like many other chess ideas, like technique, for example. It's not just single thing. So we can separate this problem, calculation, for several different problems, different skills, which we should train. Some of them actually depend on absolutely different our skills, our qualities. No, we will discuss only a few such skills, the most important ones. But there are, of course, several others also important and useful. First, I should say obvious thing that important part of calculation is skill to find unusual, unexpected moves, combinations. Actually, I even don't call it calculation. It's a little bit different thing. It's imagination, it's combinational vision. If calculation, it's mainly product of our brain, it's a product of our work during the game, but so it's matter of logic. Not exactly logic, but mainly. But from other hand, imagination, combinational vision, it's intuitive thing. It's skill to discover quickly some unexpected idea which not obvious immediately and so on. So some players who are great combinational vision, like Petrosyan, for example, Karpov, they are great tacticians. They saw combination very easily, but they dislike calculate. They wasn't good in calculation, made mistake with calculation. So it's this combination vision part may be part of calculation, but from other hand, it's something opposite to calculation. And some other players could be or have opposite. They could be very good calculated, but blunder sometimes unexpected resources. It depends on what is strongest side for this or that player, intuition or logic, logical approach or intuitive approach.
Do you believe in like a general theory to calculation? Like I grew up reading this Kotov book, for example, like find candidate moves, calculate them all separately. But when I'm playing, I'm like a flipper. Like I calculate this line, then I see some idea, I jump to this line, then I jump there, and it feels very unorganized. Is that a problem, or is that just how the brain works?
No, well, Kotov in his book really describe us some really very important ideas and introduced some words, some ideas, some sentences, some ideas which we used now. From other hand, if you follow his recommendations straightforwardly, you will see that it doesn't work. It's no, he was a little bit dogmatic in this area, but it happens very often when somebody creates his theory. He believes that the theory works everywhere. The same drawback was in Nemtsov Rabinovich books, but we should take it easy. It's okay, we understand that it exists, but we should take the useful part of the theory, but and don't worry, don't aim to follow it automatically, completely. And we will discuss this idea of candidate move. It's really a very important part of calculation, but it will be our next topic. We'll start from another thing. Yeah. So, combinational vision, it's really very important problem, but we will not discuss it here. First, because even without special discussion, we still will have some brilliant idea and unexpected idea, so we will train the skill anyway, even if we will not aim to it. Second, that this topic can be trained by most easy way, because there are a lot of books which contains brilliant combinations. So it's a majority of collection of exercises are actually collection of combinations. Some of such combination are standard. It's even not training of imagination, but training of technique of playing combinations, because there are some standard ideas, standard combinations.
That's
so some combinations are not original, but standard. So for experienced play, it's not a problem. But of course, if you don't have this technique, don't know some technical ideas well, it makes sense, of course, to solve such position, because it should be almost automatically. But real training of imagination is unusual combination. Of course, it's impossible to invent something absolutely new in chess. Everything was happened. But if it happened very rare, so it's difficult to find. But you can find a lot of such exercises in many books, so it's not a problem. It's the reason why no sense for us to discuss it. And by the way, maybe I will tell you that if somebody is reading my books, you will find in practical books, at least several my last books, you will see question marks under the many diagrams. It means I do it intentionally. I believe that it's a good idea for all chess authors to do it. If this position is good, can be used like exercise, if it's really contains clear interesting solution, it makes sense to point out it for the readers, because the reader can not just to read text, but he also can train himself. So when you read a usual book, you don't. It contains many interesting position, many interesting exercises, but you don't know which one. But here I just point out some moments which can be used for training. I believe that it's a good approach for any author, and I hope that in future many authors will do the same, because it's very simple to do and very useful for readers. So we will try to solve majority of positions which I will demonstrate you will be very good like exercises, like position which we have now. So what is the first topic which we will discuss? Very important topic. It's topic of attention to opponent's counter chances. So many players are very good with own tactics. Easy discover own tactical ideas, own combinations, but blunder at opponents' unexpected ideas. And it's quite natural, because we usually think about our ideas mainly. So, and a lot of points was lost by this reason. And why I would like to discuss this topic is that you almost cannot find good examples on it in the book. Of course, such examples exist in many tactical books, but you don't know which one devoted exactly this problem. But if you are not good with vision of opponent's idea, it makes sense to solve many exercises where you need to concentrate on this problem. Don't blunder something, don't miss something for opponent. It's a problem not to find your own move mainly, but to don't blunder something important. So it's useful to have just big sets of such exercises, but you will not find it in almost nowhere. Maybe recently in Ogard book Calculation there is such chapter. But recently was published my book In Russian it was remember about opponent, perhaps maybe almost same in German, I don't remember. In English a little bit different title, but same idea. It was a little bit strange. I discussed some topics of calculation, some areas of calculation. Actually, the book consists of 4 topics. First, attention to opponent's counter chances. Second, method of elimination. Third, it's traps, skill to play for a trap, and fourth, it's prophylactic thinking. So in English, it's just single book. In Russian, it's two volumes. In German, it's 3 volumes, but it's absolutely the same book. So you can find, German or English, it doesn't matter, edition of this book, and you will find some theoretical part of this problem and many exercises, starting from easiest. And then at the end, very difficult, very complicated exercises. So you can train exactly this skill.
Okay, let's start training our users with some simpler exercises in this one.
Yeah, today we will see simple exercise. It's the game between short with white and Bariev with black. White has active position, but white has pawn down. And compensation... No, absolutely not obvious. Yeah.
So it's black to move.
Yeah. So the question how black should use his advantage, how black should play in this position.
First thing that comes to mind is maybe we can grab a pawn.
Yes,
Knight takes
if it's work, why not? It's of course it would be simplest. Knight takes e5 is absolutely natural move, because if rook takes e5, we takes on d6, we want second pawn. So it's most promising thing, and it's what we should start from our analysis. But before to play it, we should just briefly check, does opponent have something? If not, okay, it's strongest continuation, no doubt that we will play it. But be attentive. Before to play it. Yeah, because if it for some reason doesn't work, it would be very pity to miss such a good position for black. So, what can be wrong with this move?
Little trick, no? Little trick.
Yeah. What about knight f5? With checkmate and check on g7 also is a threat. So if rook takes d1, we takes on g7 first, and No, maybe it takes, or maybe check and then takes, doesn't matter already. Can do whatever we want.
Yeah, okay. Anything wins?
Yeah.
So, knight takes e5, not such a good idea, yeah?
Yeah, knight e5 is just winning. Black should resign now. Checkmate is threatening and g7 is hanging. Black just has any defense.
This happened in the game?
Yes, it happened in the game. If white would discover this resource of opponent, as black would discover it, he would play simple move rook cd7, defend against any combinations. Now knight e5 is a threat, and I don't know what short would do in this position. My impression that it's completely lost. A3 by the way also hanging.
Yeah, I was thinking f4.
a5 is hanging, yeah. So just 2 extra pawn for black without real compensation. White cannot arrange attack. Now, so it was quite simple. You need just to see this combination for white. But sometimes chess players are too confident.
Yeah. Have to resist grabbing a pawn.
Forget about the opponent. They forget about the opponent. So it's first typical simple exercise. I have several such exercises. It's also train our combinational vision, of course. Yeah. Another example of same nature. White now should defend somehow. White to move. It's clear that pawn on g3 is hanging, and it's clear that no sense to protect it with rook e3, because rook g2, rook takes g3. It doesn't achieve anything with this. So white has 2 tempting moves. Rook g5 and rook e6. But what we will do against rook g2, rook g3? What's the point of attacking this pawn?
Tricks. I see a trick.
Yeah. Rook g2, king h1, rook g3, and rook takes g6. And after capture of rook is stalemate. So it's a good chance for defense for white. Okay, first what we should discover is to discover this chance, this opportunity. But then we see it's already candidate moves, by the way, problem that we can implement this idea by two moves, rook e5 or rook e6, with absolutely the same idea. If you have a choice, you should stop and to think, maybe one move is more accurate. Maybe both of them has equal value. Maybe it's not important. But still, yes, you have a choice. Makes sense to compare and to try to find the difference. Yeah. So now you already concentrate not on your own idea. You already found your idea, how you will play. You should try to find chance for opponent. How he will play for a win against this or that move.
This looks forced. King h1, we can't take. Check makes no sense. The rook could go somewhere, and the king goes back. Let's say rook a2, king g1. I haven't achieved anything.
Yeah.
We can cut it off.
Yeah. Yeah. And what now, wait?
No, it's Zugzwang, yeah?
Zugzwang.
Ah.
King cannot go. It's why rook f2 exactly, not another move.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
king.
Yeah. The king cannot play and rook cannot play because there is a risk hanging.
And
Zugzwang.
rook somewhere. King
King
g3 already wins, yeah?
Yeah.
Or rook f3 maybe.
Yeah. Both winning.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So it's the drawback. It's the problem of white.
So that means that rook e6
Yes.
is better because it covers
Yes.
6th rank.
Yes, black has no this option after rook e6. No drawbacks with this move, but we didn't allow black. In the game, of course, he made mistake and lost. Yeah, as usually happens. Yeah. People are not cautious enough. You see, not so difficult, but very easy to miss. So, so it's useful to solve such exercises. By the way, I remember that in one review of my book, the author of review wrote that he has doubt that there is some help for solvers that he knows the topic. Attention to opponent counter chances. Actually, it could be real drawback if, for example, we speak about some typical combination, saying diversion, for example. You already is trying to find diversion in any position, which I suggest you. But you know, and here, of course, it's some help to solve that he knows topic. But actually, it was my aim because my aim is to develop this skill to think about opponent. Okay, so you know, really, it's help. You know that you should be attentive to opponent. If you will be attentive in one position, second, tenth, and so on, in all position you will think about opponent, it will help. It will be easier to solve for you. But after that, you will get the skill. You will think about it during the game. And it's always, in principle, it's useful. So in this case, I believe that it's not the drawback of it. It's really help to solve exercises, but it good consequences after this help.
Teaches you good habits.
Yeah.
So good luck in the next one where you have to pay attention to your opponent's counter chances once again. What's going on here?
Okay.
Saira van Lobron.
Yeah. Yasser Seiravan played with white. His queen is attacked. You can remove queen easily, queen a1, for example, or queen d2. It's material equality.
Equal position, maybe?
About equal position. Black looks like black is a little bit more active. Black can play, for example, maybe queen b6, protect pawn on a7.
Take first, maybe.
Maybe even without capture, because queen takes a7. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, maybe rook takes e1, queen b6, yeah. Rook takes e1, queen b6. Yeah, so a little bit better for black. Black is more active, but perhaps it should be drawn. Yes. It shouldn't be too dangerous for white. Yeah. So it's what white can do. But do I have any choice? Okay, we can compare which move is more accurate, queen a1 or queen d2. It's useful. It's another topic, another skill of calculation, comparison. I have many examples on this topic, but we won't discuss it here. In this concrete case, it's not important at all. It's about the same. Yeah. So, but sometimes it's really important, like in previous example, by the way, better. So, does white has anything else besides those two moves, queen d2 or queen a1?
This king doesn't have.
Yeah, both kings are vulnerable, so there is try. Maybe rook takes a7. What do you think about it? We want to checkmate him on a8, so our queen, black cannot take our queen because it will be checkmate.
I know the topic is counter chances, so you're probably tricking me.
So it's promising takes additional pawn to get about the same position, but with extra pawn. If rook takes e1, queen takes e1, the same position, but without pawn on a7. So if you don't blunder anything, it's okay. Of course, it would be strongest move. But so only thing which we should think about it: does black has something unpleasant or not?
Do you have some rules for such positions? No. Like I've seen the solution, but is it like normally people tell you pay attention to captures and checks and so on, but that doesn't always work.
I always can explain why this solution exists in this position, but you never will be able to use it in practice. Yeah, so it's all everything can be explained easily, but I'm not sure that it's really instructive. So I
think having these mental checklists, I must check every capture, every check.
Of course, we should check active moves, creation of threats. Captures, checks, and so on. So aggressive moves.
So there's a little check capture here. That looks quite
fantastic move.
Disruptive.
And it was happened in the game. Sherawan made this mistake, and LeBron played this brilliant move, and White has no any defense. After queen f2, rook c1 is checkmate. If king takes queen with a check, and rook is in bad position, we can take on c1 because it's not checkmate now. We can play rook c8. So black win big material with this brilliant blow.
Yeah, that's it's a tough one to miss, but
yes,
cold shower.
Yes, but if we for discover such move, we should have a good combinational vision. It's a little bit different, another topic. But one thing is to find such blows for ourselves. It's one way of training. But another is to discover it, to be able to discover it for opponents. So we should think about, we should be attentive to opponents' chances. And such exercises devoted to exactly this direction of work.
Congratulations to those who were humble and went for queen a1 or queen d2.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, now we're getting to studies already? So this is study?
Yeah, many studies are very good for this purpose. By the way, I like to use study training because study are usually brilliant, nice, with absolutely clear solutions, so on. So, and very possible to find study for many tactical topics. We cannot find study for training of positional problems because study practically don't have positional evaluations. It's wins, draw, or loss. No other evaluations in study. You cannot play for better position or something like this. No, but for such tactical training, it's perfectly okay. This position was composed by a chess player from Poland, David Przepurka. Actually, one drawback of this position is there is a drawback of this position, like exercise, because first white move is absolutely obvious. White has no choice now.
Is it?
White should create some threats.
Yeah. I want to threaten something. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. Rook b2, rook d2.
But after rook b2 or rook d2, queen has various ways to defend against it. For example, after rook b2, you can play queen a7. Yeah. Or after rook d2, I can play queen b6, queen g5. So various good moves I have. But after rook e2, it's more difficult to defend. So very easy to understand that we should play rook e2. Actually, when we think like this, we practically don't need to calculate more. Because, for example, we see that after h6, we have set of check and we'll win a queen. Yeah. Yeah, so if he play queen g8, we can play, for example, knight f6 and rook e8. So it's already unpleasant for opponent. So
best chance.
Yeah. So rook e2 is certainly best move without doubt. So we in practical game we don't need to calculate more. We see that just by eliminations, we use elimination that it's certainly best move. All other much weaker. And this is extremely promising. So we can play this move without calculation and then to see what opponent will do. So usually I don't suggest such position from the very beginning. But here it's too nice position, so it makes sense. Maybe sometimes I add some additional question. For example, how this game should end it. In this case, you need to. It's not to answer to this question. You don't need not enough to find the move rook e2. You should calculate some lines and to find some best resources for both sides and so on. It's what I usually do with such exercises. Okay, but now is a problem for black.
Okay, so looks only like move is queen g8 as far as I can see.
But what next after knight f6?
I don't know, but I don't see any alternative.
Yeah, h6 or queen g8, no other moves.
Yes.
But looks like both moves are completely lost. So, black should find some chance.
So you're knight f6, and I'm losing the queen.
Yeah, and then very important that a pawn is far advanced. If pawn would be on a3, it would be another story. But now rook a8, for example, no, say black can try, for example, which move? Queen
g6.
King g6, rook a8, king g7, rook g8, king f6, rook take g6, take somehow on g6, and a5. Just in time, I will queen my... Yeah, with pawn on a3, it would be another evaluation. But yes. Pawn on a4, so in such exchange combination wins. So black should resign. So what's the problem? Why I suggested this position like problem. What's the point of this position if I win automatically without any troubles?
I have to admit that I think I know this study, so that helps the solution. But if you've tried to look at this at home, this is another good point to resume your calculations.
Yeah.
So this is the trick, yeah?
Yes, only move check, king g7, rook g8, king h6, and
good old stalemate.
Stalemate. Yeah, and knight g4 doesn't change anything. King h5. Yeah. So it's the only defense. Yeah, king h6. It's the only defense of black. It's chance. So it's not so simple. So black should discover this defense in g8. Without it, he should just resign.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not so simple. So, and now white should invent how to overcome this defense. Yeah. And well, knight f6 is not the mistake because after queen g1 I can come back and we get the same position like before. So if I would like, so I can try it anyway.
Do not hurry.
Yeah,
try once.
Yeah, it's not mistake. Yeah, I can come back. But problem how to win this position. So we should discover something for white now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations if you've spotted knight to g7.
Yeah, brilliant
nice little move.
Yeah, prevent the defense. If you have no way to take certain, for example, h5, rook a8. No, if queen takes e8, knight takes 8, knight will stop h pawn easily without troubles. Yeah. So all pawns are stopped and white pawn will queen. If after knight g7, h5, rook a8, black play king g7. Take, and again take pawn. Just one move before black pawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with check, which is important. So
So white should
no
guess
defense,
black brilliant defense and found all brilliant resource. Very nice study. Very short, but very nice construction, very practical.
Okay, you guys ready for one more study?
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Yeah. It's a study of composer from Austria, Alois Vatava. I almost know almost nothing about his life. I read something about, but once I remember that I was in hospital, waited some operation, and I was with my computer, and I started to check some Vatava studies. I was extremely impressed because his study absolutely brilliant. It contains some absolutely unusual mating construction, brilliant combinations with some nice quiet moves. So majority of study, not all of course, but majority of his study is extremely nice. I got great pleasure from his study. So I collected best of them, which I liked more, and then I included it to a book which I wrote together with a great chess composer, maybe best in the world, Oleg Pervakov. We wrote together the book, Study for Practical Players. And one chapter of this book, it was my collection of Vatava study. I very recommend you to solve. You will develop imagination and simultaneously will get great pleasure, I guarantee you. So it's a really brilliant composer, Vatava. It's just one study, his study, not the best, of course, just normal study. We should decide how white should deal with this position. It's intuitively clear that black king, but
Checkmate the guy.
Yeah, it's try to checkmate him. It's very natural, and the way is also looks quite natural. Looks like knight d4 is a very natural move. Yeah, checkmate from a3 is threatening, and if pawn takes d4, bishop takes d4, and how to defend against checkmate on f2. It looks like again it's elementary. Nothing special.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a but coming.
Yeah. Only problem of white position is that black king has no moves. If it could be stalemate, but black has two pieces. So what black can do?
Let's get rid of them.
Give up first of them, which is more difficult to give up. Yeah, and then give up second one, and so stalemate will be. So natural combination, which start from knight d4, leads to just to a draw. So at first, what white can do to reject this very promising, very easy combination. Yeah, but what instead? What we can do instead?
Oops. We can try to checkmate with the knight on f3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very possible. To do because knight can play checkmate not worse than bishop, and now no piece sacrifices, no stalemate. But black can defend better. Instead of pawn takes d4, black can take pawn on f4, which was impossible after knight d4. By the way, it's the problem. And bishop king is free now.
We are queen down.
Yeah. Queen down, clear queen. Yeah. So we cannot play bishop d4 if we don't see how to continue. Yeah. And now
geometry.
Yeah, and now brilliant continuation. Bishop f2 check, king g1, and bishop h4. So we give up bishop just to free the d4 square with a tempo. King takes h4, and now we play knight d4. He wants to play checkmate from f3, and after king g5, we fork decisive knight e6 check, and knight takes d8. And then we'll play knight c6 and win the bishop.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So instead of one combination, which where black has own counter combination, we discover another more complicated, absolutely brilliant. and after this combination, black has no defense. So I believe that from one hand, it's training of in all positions we was forced to discover something unusual for opponent. From other hand, I believe that you just could get a pleasure from some brilliant position, brilliant ideas, unusual combination, and so on. It's not too complicated, but it's a good way to start training in this topic from such positions like this.
Apologies to the users who are happy they found knight d4. That's not it. We're gonna be back with more on this topic in the next video, and prepare, because it's gonna get even tougher. See you then.